We'll come back. Let's continue read this.
156 in one class. Boeing 720. The Boeing 720 was an American narrow-body airliner produced by Boeing Commercial Airplanes. Announced in July 1957 as a 707 derivative for shorter flights from shorter runways, the 720 first flew on the 23rd of November 1959. Its type certificate was issued on the 30th of June 1960, and it entered service with United Airlines on the 5th of July 1960. A total of 154 Boeing 720s and 720Bs were built until 1967. As a derivative, the 720 had low development costs, allowing profitability despite few sales. Compared to the 707-120, it has a length reduced by 8.33 feet, 2.54 m, a modified wing and a lightened airframe for a lower maximum takeoff weight. Originally designed to be powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney JT3C turbojets, the initial 720 could cover a 2,800 nautical miles, mi. 5,200 kilometers, 3,200 mi, range with 131 passengers in 2 classes. The reconfigured 720B, powered by JT3D turbofans, first flew on the 6th of October 1960 and entered service in March 1961. It could seat 156 passengers in one class over 3,200 nautical miles, mi. 5,900 kilometers, 3,700 mi, range. Some 720s were later converted to 720Bs specification. It was succeeded by the Boeing 727 Tri-J. The 720 is the only Boeing-designed production jetliner that does not follow the 7X7 naming scheme. Development, edit. Shorter range 707, edit. Boeing announced its plans to develop a new version of the 707 in July 1957. It was developed from the 707 to 120 to provide for short to medium range flights from shorter runways. The model was originally designated 707-020 before being changed to 720 at the input of United Airlines. Compared to the 707 to 120, it has 4 fewer frames in front of the wing and 1 fewer aft. A total length reduction of 8 feet 4 inches, 2.54 m. The new model was designed to a lower maximum takeoff weight with a modified wing and a lightened airframe. The wing modifications included Kruger flaps outboard of the outboard engines, lowering takeoff and landing speeds, thus shortening runway length requirements, and a thickened inboard leading edge section, with a slightly greater sweep. This modification increased the top speed over the 707 to 120. It had 4 Pratt & Whitney JT3C7 turbojet engines producing 12,500 lbf, 55.6 kN, each. At one point in the development phase, it was known as the 707-020. Then 717-020, although this was the Boeing model designation of the KC-135 and remained unused for a commercial airliner until it was applied to the MD-95, following Boeing's merger with McDonnell Douglas in 1997. Because the aircraft systems were similar to the Boeing 707, no prototype Boeing 720 was built. Any different systems were tested on the Boeing 367-80. The first 720 took its maiden flight on the 23rd of November, 1959. The type certificate for the 720 was issued on the 30th of June, 1960. It first entered service with United Airlines on the 5th of July, 1960. 65 of the original version were built. Further developments, edit. The 720B version of the 720 had JT3D turbofan engines, producing 17,000 lbf, 75.6 kN, each. The JT3D engines had lower fuel consumption and higher thrust. The maximum takeoff weight for the 720B was increased to 234,000 pounds, 106,000 kilograms. The 720B first took to the skies on the 6th of October, 1960, and received certification and entered service with American Airlines in March, 1961. 89 720Bs were built, in addition to conversions of American's 10 existing 720s. As a modification of an existing model, the 720 had minimal research and development costs, which allowed it to be successful despite few sales. The company built 154 Boeing 720s and 720Bs from 1959 to 1967. The 720s wing modification was later added on the 707-120B and on 707-120s retrofitted to the B standard. Design, edit. The Boeing 720 is a four-engined low-wing cantilever monoplane. Although it was similar to the Boeing 707, compared with the 707-120, it was 8 feet 4 in, 2.54 m, shorter in length, and had a lighter structure through use of lighter forged metal parts and thinner fuselage skins and structures. Fuselage, edit. The rearmast of the 707's over-wing emergency exits was deleted on each side, which reduced passenger capacity, while 2 over-wing exits were an option for higher density configurations. Wings, edit. The 720 uses an improved wing based on the 707 wing. The wingspan remained the same as the 707-120. For the 720, the wing was changed between the fuselage and inner engines by adding a wing root glove. This glove reduced the drag of the wing by decambering the root, which reduced the middle effect, thereby increasing the effective local wing sweep. The wing root glove reportedly increased the drag divergence Mach number of the wing by Mach 0.02. Engines, edit. Though initially fitted with turbojet engines, the dominant engine for the Boeing 720 was the Pratt & Whitney JT3D, a turbofan variant of the JT3C with lower fuel consumption and higher thrust. JT3D engined 720s had a B suffix. Some of American's 720Bs were conversions of JT3C powered 720s. Like the 707, the 720/720B used engine-driven turbo compressors to supply high-pressure air for cabin pressurization. The engines could not supply sufficient bleed air for this purpose without a serious loss of thrust. The small air inlets and associated humps are visible just above the main engine inlets on the 2 inner engine pods of all 720s and 720Bs. The lack of the turbo compressor inlet on the outer starboard pod, number 4 engine, helps spotters distinguish 720/720Bs from most 707s, which had 3 turbo compressors. Other equipment, edit. The Boeing 720 lacked an auxiliary power unit, and relied instead on ground power and pneumatic air to power the aircraft's systems, provide air conditioning, and start the engines while on the ground. The normal practice for Boeing 720 aircraft was to start the number 3 in a starboard engine first, then disconnect ground power and air. With one engine running, bleed air from that engine could be used to provide necessary air pressure to start the other engines one by one. On ground, with ground starting crew at hand, all 4 engines were usually started with ground crew help. This was more reliable and faster. Operational history, edit. The first aircraft was a production aircraft for United Airlines which flew on the 23rd of November, 1959. The type certificate for the 720 was issued on the 30th of June, 1960. The first service of the 720 was by United Airlines on the 5th of July, 1960 on the Los Angeles-Denver-Chicago route. American Airlines followed by putting the 720 in commercial operation on the 31st of July that same year. On the 2nd of January, 1962, Pakistan International Airlines first Boeing 720B, a Boeing 720-040B, registration APAMG, piloted by Captain Abdullah Baig and co-pilot Captain Timur Baig, set a world record during the London to Karachi leg of its delivery flight to Pakistan for speed over a commercial air route, making the flight in 6 hours 43 minutes 55 seconds at an average speed of 938.78 km per hour, 583.33 miles per hour. The 720 was supplanted by the Boeing 727 in the mid-1960s in its medium-range, high-performance market. In the late 1960s, 720 and 720B aircraft were used by the U.S. military to shuttle troops to the Far East war efforts. The interiors of these planes were stripped of glass partitions. Some of these flights originated at Travis AFB, California and flew non-stop to Japan. At least one of the landing sites was Yokota AB, Japan, before the troops traveled to their final destinations. After disposal of 720s by the major airlines, many were acquired by second-rank operators in South America and elsewhere. In 1984, a Boeing 720 flown by remote control was intentionally crashed at Edwards AFB as a part of the FAA and NASA-controlled impact demonstration program. The test provided peak accelerations during a crash. The performance of fire-retardant fuel was also tested. The first 720, N7201U, was later renamed the Starship and became a private charter jet used mainly by touring rock bands. Its main user was Led Zeppelin in the 1970s. The seating capacity was reduced and a bar with a built-in electric organ was added, along with beds, a shower, a lounge area, a TV, and video cassette player. Honeywell operated the last Boeing 720 in the United States, flying out of Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. The aircraft had been modified with an extra engine nacelle mounted on the right side of the fuselage to allow testing of a turbine engine at altitude, operating on special certification allowing it to be used for experimental use. This 720B was scrapped on June the 21st and 22nd, 2008. Honeywell replaced their aircraft with a Boeing 757. Pratt & Whitney Canada, PwC, operated the last flying 720, CFET, until 2010. CFET was built as N7538 in 1960 and was initially flown by American Airlines and later by Middle East Airlines as ODAFQ. It was purchased by PwC in December 1985 and between October 1986 and January 1988 it was modified for use as a flying engine test bed. Internally it was known as FTB-1. Flying Test Bed 1. CFET was used to test a variety of engines, with it being capable of carrying a large turbofan in place of the right wing's inner engine. Alongside this, a small turbofan could be mounted on the right side of the front fuselage, while a turboprop could be mounted in the modified nose. Its final operational flight occurred on the 29th of September, 2010. Pratt & Whitney Canada replaced the test with a Boeing 747 SP. In May 2012, the former PWC 720 was flown to CFB Trenton, Ontario, to be put on display at the National Air Force Museum of Canada. Variants, edit. 720. First production variant with 4 Pratt & Whitney JT3C turbojet engines. Several high-density seat configurations delivered to Eastern Airlines included 4 over-wing escape hatches and brake cooling fans to effect quick turns on short-haul sectors. These aircraft, designated 720-025, were certificated to carry up to 170 passengers, provided that certain safety requirements were met. 720B. Improved variant with 4 Pratt & Whitney JT3D turbofan engines. American Airlines converted its 720S to 720B standard. Operators, edit. These operators flew Boeing 720/720BS, equals original operators. Afghanistan. 1 Oriana Afghan Airlines 1X720B from 1973 and additional 720B was leased. Belize. 1 Belize Airways 5X720B, used from 1976 to 1980. Cambodia. 1 Air Cambodge 1X720 in 1972-72. Ceylon. 1 Air Ceylon 1X720, 1X720B leased in 1970s. Colombia. 1 Air Okanda Colombia 2X720B, used from 1972 to 1980. 2 Aerotal 1X720B leased. 3 Avianca 4X720B, 2 delivered in 1961. 1 in 1965 and 1 in 1969. 4 SAM Colombia 3X720B used from 1977 to 1980. Democratic Republic of the Congo. 1 Air Charter Service 3X720. Denmark. 1 Comair of Scandinavia 5X720-051B and 5X720-025 from 1971 till 1987. 2 Maersk Air 5X720-051B from 1973 till 1987. Dominican Republic. 1 Air Omar 2X720 leased from 1979. 2 Aeritas Dominicano 1X720 leased. 3 Aerovias Quisquela 1X720 leased. 4 Agro Air International Dominicana 2X720 from 1977. Ecuador. 1 Equatoriana de Aviación 720B. Ethiopia. 1 Ethiopian Airlines 3X720BS. 2 delivered in 1962 and 1 in 1965. France. 1 Air Inter 1X720 leased. Germany. 1 Lufthansa 8X720B delivered 1961-1962. Greece. 1 Olympic Airways 7X720B delivered 1972-1973. Iceland. 1 Air Viking 3X720. 2 Eagle Air, Iceland, 720B. India. 1 Air India 1X720 freighter leased in 1978. Indonesia. 1 Air Bali 1X720 leased in 1975 but airline failed to gain approval for charter flights to the United States. Ireland. 1 Aer Lingus 3X720 delivered 1960-1961. Israel. 1 LL2X720B delivered in 1962. 2 Maof Airlines 2X720B bought from Monarch in 1981. Jordan. 1 Alia, Royal Jordanian Airlines 2X720B. Kenya. 1 Kenya Airways 720B. Lebanon. 1 Middle East Airlines 720B. Malta. 1 Air Malta 5X720B used from 1974 to 1988. Mexico. 1 Aeromercia. Nicaragua. 1 Aeronica 1X720B used from 1982 to 1989. Norway. 1 Transpolar 3X720. Pakistan. 1 Pakistan International Airlines 4X720B delivered 1961-1962 and 1 in 1965. Papua New Guinea. 1 Air Niugini 1X720B leased from 1976. Rhodesia. 1 Air Rhodesia 3X720 acquired 1973. Saudi Arabia. 1 Saudi Arabian Airlines 2X720B delivered in 1961. Tanzania. 1 Air Tanzania 2X720 leased. United Kingdom. 1 Invicta International Airlines 1720-023B. 2 Monarch Airlines 5X720-051B and 2X720-023B. United States. 1 Aeromercia. 2 Alaska Airlines operated both the 720 and the 720B but did not take delivery of either type new. 3 American Airlines 10X720 delivered in 1960 and 15X720Bs delivered in 1961. The 10-720s were converted to turbofan-powered B models in 1961. 4 American Trans Air 2X720, 1X720B. 5 Braniff International Airways 5X720 delivered 1961-1963. An additional aircraft was sold to the Federal Aviation Agency before delivery. 6 Capital Airlines leased 720s from United Airlines. 7 Continental Airlines 8X720B delivered 1962-1966. 8 Eastern Airlines 15X720 delivered 1961-1962. 9 Federal Aviation Agency 1720 delivered in 1960 or 1961. 10 Northwest Airlines 13X720B delivered 1961-1964. 11 Pacific Northern Airlines 2X720 delivered in 1962. 12 Pan American World Airways 9X720B used from 1963 to 1974 for Caribbean and South American operations. 13 Trans World Airlines 4X720B leased in 1961. 14 United Airlines 29X720 delivered 1960-1962. 15 Western Airlines 27X720Bs delivered 1961-1967. Yemen. 1 Aliemda 2X720B. Accidents and Incidents, edit. Main article, list of accidents and incidents involving the Boeing 707. The Boeing 720 has had 23 hull loss accidents during its career. It was also involved in a number of incidents, including 9 hijack incidents and 1 aircraft destroyed by a bomb in midair in 1976. Only 12 of the hull loss accidents included fatalities, which totaled 175 deaths in addition to the 81 deaths on the aircraft destroyed in midair by a bomb. The worst accidents were: 1 on the 12th of February, 1963, Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 705, a Boeing 720-051B, Reg. N724US, suffered an in-flight breakup over the Florida Everglades about 12 minutes after leaving Miami, bound for Chicago. All 35 passengers and 8 crew died. The cause of the crash was determined to be an unrecoverable loss of control due to severe turbulence. 2 on the 20th of May, 1965, Pakistan International Airlines Flight Park 705, 720-040B, Reg APAMH, crashed short of the runway at Cairo International Airport, killing 121 of the 127 people on board. 3 on the 8th of December, 1972, 7 members of the Eritrean Liberation Front hijacked Ethiopian Airlines Flight 708, a Boeing 720-060B, on its way to Paris. Security forces on the plane immediately opened fire, killing all but one of the hijackers. The last surviving hijacker later died in hospital. During the altercation, a hand grenade was detonated that damaged control cables under the cabin floor. However, the pilot put the plane into a controlled dive and managed to land the plane safely back in Addis Ababa with no further casualties. 1. 4 on the 1st of January, 1976, Middle East Airlines Flight 438, a Boeing 720-023B, Reg. OD aft, was destroyed en route from Beirut to Dubai by a bomb in the forward cargo hold. All 66 passengers and 15 crew were killed. Aircraft on display, edit. 720-051B 18351 Chiang Mai, a former Republic of China Air Force VIP aircraft, is on display at Kangshan, Taiwan. 720-047B APAXL is on display at Pir Planetarium, Lahore, Pakistan, standing in a park for the public. 720-047B APAXM is on display at Pir Planetarium, Karachi, Pakistan. 720-023B CFET was donated to the National Air Force Museum of Canada in 2012 after its last flight. 720-030B HK 749 is on display at Museo de los Niños, Children's Museum of Bogotá, Colombia in Avianca Colombia livery. It was the first jet airplane delivered to a Colombian airline. Specifications, edit. Airplane characteristics. Variant 727-20B. Cockpit crew 3. Passengers 131137 in 2 classes, 156 in 1 class. Length 136 feet 2 in, 41.5 m, 136 feet 9 in, 41.68 m. Wingspan 130 feet 10 in, 39.88 m. Fuselage width 12 feet 4 in, 3.76 m. Tail height 41 feet 5 in, 12.62 m, 41 feet 2 in, 12.55 m. TOW 229,300 pound, 104.0 t, 234,300 pound, 106.2 t. Empty weight 110,800 pound, 50.3 T, 115,000 pound, 52.2 T. Fuel capacity 16,060 US gal, 60,800 L. 2,150 cubic feet, 60.9 m, 16,130 US gal, 61,100 L. 2,160 cubic feet, 61.3 m. Engines, 4X, Pratt & Whitney JT3C7 Pratt & Whitney JT3D1/3. Unit thrust 12,000 lbf, 53.4 kN, 17,000 lbf, 75.680.1 kN.